earlies. We're talking payday, wild card, and divisional round playoffs. Rasan Rogers, Lou Pellegrino, Brian Ciano, and Rocco DeJesus. Let's go back to Seattle. I can't even believe what I saw. And they just Hasselbeck 4 TDs. They just kicked the Super Bowl champion Saints' ass.
Yeah, that run by Marshawn Lynch was ridiculous as well. I saw that and damn near lost my mind. It was embarrassing. But I didn't think they were going to play that well. So I'm definitely impressed. Hasselbeck came back. They looked like a whole new team.
They were down 10-0, and I almost thought, all right, here we go. And then you go run an errand, turn the channel, come back, and they were winning.
Yeah, we all thought the route was on at 10-0, and then all of a sudden Hasselbeck got into a nice groove, had a really, really strong game, but that run by Marshawn Lynch, it just goes to show you how funny a season can be. The Super Bowl hero, Porter, intercepts Peyton Manning, runs it in for a touchdown, delivers the championship to the Saints.
It gets bounced off.
And then gets bounced off by Marshawn Lynch.
Did you see that floater Hasselbeck threw down the sideline? It was good for a touchdown, too, like where he just flinged it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything went their way.
The Saints lost that game as much as Seattle won that because their defense was awful. It just showed you how injured and old they became this year at defense. Darren Sharper, who everyone was all over last year for Defensive Player of the Year, was getting beat like a rented mule.
You called it.
I did.
So, have you been drunk ever since that point?
No, I've just been very happy with my decision-making skills.
Did you masturbate after you got that correct?
It was just an emotional come down.
Minutes after the Jets went for that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It was an emotional
the Jet
come
game was
down.
right after that, so the explosion happened a little bit later.
Oh, I see. So you were all fired up about your Jets. How nervous were you when they gave up the Vinatieri field goal?
I thought the game was over. Honestly, I thought the game was over. Considering that 18 came back, drove it down the field again, right in your face. You got 50 seconds to play. Antonio Cromartie helped save the game with that kick return.
I mean, can you believe it? They're going back to Foxborough, and they beat the Colts. And it was Rex Ryan saying it was personal. And they got it done. So people can say whatever they want. They got it done.
They did. I mean, besides the one long pass to Garcon that Cromartie just got beat on, they owned that Peyton Manning offense. They gave up 9 points. 3 field goals to Peyton Manning besides that one pass. That doesn't happen in any game. That defense got up in his face. He made him run the ball, and they couldn't get any yards on it.
They stopped them on every single 3rd and 1 except one.
Yeah, it was amazing. The Jets' defense really came to play. I think they're going to have to bring their A game to go into Foxborough, but if they play the way they did, and now granted, Manning didn't have his weapons. It's not the same Colts offense, but if the Jets
Did they break up that team now? The Colts.
I don't think they break up the Colts. I think you see a couple of new additions added. Maybe get rid of a guy like a White, maybe not a Jacob Tammy, but I could see the Colts adding some more people on defense. I think their offense is okay. I think they need to add more people on defense. But anyway, the Jets need to bring their A game to Foxborough in order to beat Tom Brady, because I said it to these guys earlier. Manning led them downfield to what looked like a game-winning field goal. Brady punches it in for 6.
Jets are not going to beat the Patriots at all.
But what'd you think of Sanchez with under a minute? And what'd you think of Poole's big plays and tackles in the first half? He had 2 of them on 3rd and 1 flying out of the secondary. He was unbelievable.
I mean, he definitely stepped up when they needed him to. I don't think the Jets have a shot to beat the Patriots at all. Everyone talks about how the Patriots, their defense is young. I think the defense is underrated. And also Tom Brady's having an MVP season, so it's not going to happen.
And also what bothered me a little bit about the Jets in the game against the Colts was 2 times on 3rd down, Sanchez threw incomplete passes that stopped the clock and gave the Colts more time.
The one was on Holmes, so that was
there was one, right. There was one on Holmes, right, that he dropped the ball.
He was overthrowing balls
but
the whole night. I couldn't even believe
he was wild and high.
It.
He was wild and high.
I mean, all night, and then he hit Edwards with one. But that was because Edwards had a foot on the defender. I mean, he was so much bigger than that corner.
Well, that was where the throw was supposed to be. Behind the defender was with him, so you throw it behind, let him go up and get it. That's exactly where he needed to put it.
All day.
But and the other thing too
is the second half when they took the pressure off him, that's when he was able to relax.
But
when they put it on him in the first half, that's when he was
they
off.
won that game was their defense and because of Tomlinson and Green.
Right.
They both had a load of carries and they got the job done. Baltimore embarrassed Kansas City flat out. I mean, that game at one point it was 10-7 at the half, and in the second half. They turned it over, I think, 3 consecutive times, 5 on a game, and I turned the channel. I couldn't even watch it.
The disconnect between Charlie Weiss and Todd Haley was clear. I mean, when you look at the story that came out today, that Todd Haley stripped Charlie Weiss of the play calling duties in the second half, it was kind of a disconnect that you could see coming. considering that Matt Castle was in his first playoff start. He had thrown, up until last week, 5 interceptions all year. And for him to throw 3 in the game, as the Ravens...
Did you hear him before the game, or like in the first quarter, they started talking about Charlie Weiss up in the press box, and they said he's leaving to go to Florida. But then the color guy said, oh, you know Charlie's going to give his best effort today, and Haley can count on that. They've known each other since Foxborough. Meanwhile, they'll probably never talk again, and because of Haley's ego. The Chiefs, they never win playoff games. I think that's like 7 in a row.
That's 7 in a row. That's the most in NFL
suck.
history.
And they haven't won at home since '93.
I mean, that game was embarrassing, flat out. But I thought the Green Bay domination of Philly was no different. The Green Bay defense pushed around the Eagles all day.
Oh, no, I just thought that the Green Bay defense, like I said they were going to do, was going to give Michael Vick and the Eagles fits. I thought if LaShawn McCoy had a big game, they would be able to win. He did not. Mike Vick throws an interception late in the game.
How about that big
Steps
back
up.
for the Packers?
Oh,
123
and that's
yards.
what we were talking about. Where
They don't have a running game.
Right, where did they come up with that running game, the Packers, all of a sudden? Now the Packers are going to be a team to be reckoned
That
with.
just shows you how weak the Eagles' defense was. You got to give Vic credit. He brought them back. He made that a game late. Akers cost them that with those 2 missed field goals.
You think he's gone?
I don't think so. He's been there too long, and he's too good a kicker.
His contract's up. He fought with him about the contract. Then in the biggest game of the year, he shanks 2 kicks. I say he's gone.
I say he's
gone,
coming to the
too.
Giants, and Eagle fans,
Let's
you
go back
only
to
played
that.
one more game than the Giants this year.
Let's go back to the Baltimore game. The reason that the Ravens are so good, there's several of them. Flacco dumping underneath all day to Rice. They couldn't stop it. And Bolden and Ray Lewis. His hit on McCluster.
Oh, ridiculous.
And that was Reed's hit, but Lewis caused the fumble on McCluster. Reed with the jack on McCluster. McCluster had a shitty game. The Chiefs had one play in the whole game that worked, and that was the touchdown run. The rest of the game, not one play worked. They couldn't pass the ball. They couldn't run the ball. I mean, they talk about the Steelers and Jets all the time, and people lately have been talking about the Patriots, but the Ravens may have the best defense of all of them, and they're ferocious. Good luck on a 4th and 1 against them.
Forget
Well,
it.
they're great, but also the Chiefs helped them out a lot too. That team was young, inexperienced, and they showed it in that game. I mean, the only guys they had in playoff experience really were Mike Vrabel and Thomas Jones, 2 guys that are too old to even make it on the field.
Now, Michael Vick, when the game ended, he's like, at least I went for it. It was a crappy pass into the corner. I was surprised he threw it to him. And then after the game, Kevin Cobb said to the Philadelphia Inquirer,
He wants to get traded.
he's like, look, I'm settled here. My family likes it here, but if I'm not starting, I want out. So now the question begs, do they re-sign Vic to a gigantic deal? What does it mean for Cobb? And does Andy Reid get fired after all of these great seasons of meaningless wins in the regular season? But in the playoffs, he's had a lot of success, but no rings, no Super Bowl championships. Should the Eagles get rid of Andy Reid?
Who do you replace him with? You're not going to get Bill Cowher. Who are you going to bring in?
Bring in a new young guy, some fresh blood.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what Michael
That's what
Vick and
Fred
all
run
those
the
other
league.
pros on the team are
How
going to
that work in
want.
Denver?
How many times do you see old guys in professional sports? You see these old coaches who've coached these teams
Shanahan, he's awful.
for 10, 12 years, and they stay in the same spot. They don't do anything. You see this all the time. They need to get a new
So
guy.
that's what Fox did in Carolina, and now he's interviewing for the job in Denver. But they gave Ron Rivera the job in Carolina, or that's
The only way they make a change, because Andy Reid's an offensive-minded coach. He was Brett Favre's quarterback's coach in Green Bay, and he comes from the Mike Holmgren tree, but he's more of an offensive guy. You know who you bring in? Go to the Giants. Go get Perry Fuel, a defensive coordinator who obviously you helped satisfy the Rooney Rule because he is African-American. And guess what? You bring him in with a defensive mind and a defensive scheme for a defensive-minded team, and then there's your new guy.
All right, let's talk about the divisional semis. The first game Saturday is a doozy. Ravens and Steelers at Heinz Field. It's going to be crazy. The Steelers are laying 3 to the Ravens.
I like the Ravens. Their defense
I
is
hate your guts. Don't even talk to me this week. I don't even want to know you. It's Rick Ross, ladies and gentlemen. Stay out of this. Lou, Steelers are going to go against me. You are. I
No, I'm
hate
not
you.
going against you. I picked the Steelers.
Yes, you are.
No, I picked the Steelers a couple of weeks ago, and we were doing who do we think could win the Super Bowl, so I got to go with the Steelers. I like what the Ravens did against Kansas City. I think they have a solid defense that can give the Steelers fits, but it's Heinz Field. They've won there in the past, I know, but I just think the Steelers have it all coming together. The rest did them good. Palomalu's healthy, and he's going to be the difference.
Do they have an edge, the Ravens, because they won there and they have confidence? They're not afraid of the Steelers, and they were like yesterday, bring it on.
Not at all, because then they went back to Baltimore and Pittsburgh beat them there. And as Pittsburgh, I feel, has gotten better throughout the season, especially once Palomalu came back. Baltimore, I feel, kind of started hot and kind of stayed where they were. I think Pittsburgh has gotten better, and if Palomalu can stay healthy throughout that game, he's going to be the difference.
Was that game so easy for the Ravens that it's almost like they didn't play and the rest isn't going to matter for Pittsburgh?
No, I don't feel that way at all. I think the road warrior aspect of the Ravens is going to get them eventually. When you look at all the games that Harbaugh and Flacco played together in the playoffs, they've all come on the road, most of them. I think eventually that's going to come back to bite them. There is a lot of bad blood, obviously, in this game. Toward the end of the game, the last big defensive play is what's going to win it, and I think the Steelers will get it.
Let's go to the other game on Saturday, Green Bay at Atlanta. I mean, that Packers defense sold me. Can they do that to Matty Ice Ryan, Atlanta laying 2?
Just the record Matt Ryan has at home alone is enough for me to take them. So I'm going with Atlanta.
I'm going to take the Falcons as well. I smell like I may be crazy, but I'm thinking that if they win that game, they're going to the Super Bowl, because I think they'll beat Chicago or Seattle in Atlanta. If they win the first one and beat the Packers, they're going to win both home games, and they're going to be back in the Super Bowl like they've been before. We've seen them get there, and it's like a bummer when Atlanta goes to the Super Bowl. No one gets like the worst Super Bowl ever. It really is. All right, Sunday, 1 o'clock, Seattle, Chicago. I think, I hate to say it, but I think the Seahawks' luck runs out here. Chicago. It'll be the Bears and Falcons in the NFC Championship.
I don't know, man. For some reason, I'm going with Seattle. They look like a whole new team. I mean, Hasselbeck was making passes look easy. I like them. Look,
nine losses by 15 points can't
They're
be.
still under 500, even with that win.
Yeah. I just can't buy. Who do you like?
You know what? I'm going to agree with Rasan. For whatever reason, they seem like a team of destiny.
So you're
not,
thinking Seattle.
not destined to make the Super Bowl, not destined to win the Super Bowl.
If Pete Carroll wins the Super Bowl, I'm gonna kill myself. What do you think, Mavi? Too many points? He's smelling.
Did you put something in his drink?
Gasoline.
Because the two of them are on something. I mean, I don't care if they went and beat New Orleans. They were at home. The 12th man made a difference. You saw New Orleans have problems getting off the plays. They're getting false starts left and right. That's what happens up there. They're going to Chicago now. They're going to freeze their ass off. They're not that good. They played against an old and bad defense. Julius Peppers going to get the Matt Hasselbeck and knock him out before halftime.
He's just going to be body slammed.
That hip is going to break.
He's going to break his hip.
Here's to the Seahawks, buddy.
cheers.
All right, Jets and Patriots. Foxborough, 8.5 points. I got to take the points.
Patriots, I already said it before.
Patriots are going to win, but I don't know if they cover 8.5 against that defense. This is going to be an entirely different football game than that 45-3. You can forget about that. I think the Patriots are a better team, but in a playoff war to the death, no way do they beat them big.
The Jets are one of those teams that once they start rolling, they're one of those teams that you can't stop because they can come at you from so many different ways, whether it's the two running backs, whether it's the tight end, whether it's the receiver. It all depends on Mark Sanchez. Are they going to let him open up the playbook and throw the ball? They should use Kellen
He's
Moore.
a first down god.
They don't use Kellen Moore. I think you need to give the Patriots a taste of their own medicine. Granted, they don't have the two tight end set like the Patriots have, but let Keller catch. Throw the ball to Keller.
He
can't throw the ball like that.
Football at all.
They will, because Sanchez couldn't throw in the first half. He was cold. He hadn't thrown the ball in over 2 weeks because they didn't let him.
Now he's going to be outdoors.
They didn't let him throw a pass against Buffalo.
He can barely throw at the Meadowlands.
But he sucks on long rest. He needs to come off week after week and play and get hot that way, and that's what he's going to be. I mean, I'm not picking them to win because I like being right more than I like picking my team.
So are you taking the points or not?
I'm taking the points, but I'm taking the pass to squeak by, but it's going to be a different game, like you said.
All right, just sum it up. Are you taking who are you taking in the points and why?
I like the Jets to win the game. I think the one spot on the Patriots where they're thin is the defensive line, and the Jets have found their running game again.
So you think the Jets are going into Foxborough winning outright?
I believe it.
I expect them to play like they did against Indy with that nickel, dime, base defense, line safety up as a linebacker and coverage to say, go ahead and try to run it because you're not going to throw it.
The next time we hook up, we'll be talking about the AFC and NFC title games and the right to go to Dallas and the Super Bowl. And there'll be another big question when we do that show is whether or not we're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'd say the odds of that are very slim, although I have been to 15 Super Bowls. Have you ever been to one?
Never. Not once. It's bullshit.
You?
Nope.
That's unbelievable. Your team's been there 3 times and you've never been? What about you?
Only playing Madden.
If the Jets get to the Super Bowl, are you going to road trip?
Absolutely.
Can I come?
No.
Damn!
I can't believe he said that. All right, so next week we'll do our AFC and NFC title game Pain Day special, and enjoy the semis. Playoff football is what it's all about. It makes I think Saturday afternoon, late afternoon, and Saturday night all the way till midnight is just kick-ass football. And then Sunday, it's 1 and 4:30. Same thing. Don't forget, Sunday night, January 16th, right after football, Ferrall makes his debut on CSI Miami. And here's the thing to remember. I'm in the murder scene, which is the first scene. So when the show starts, the very first scene and the very first voice you're going to hear on CSI Miami is Ferrall. So check it out. It's right after the games on, it's after that Jets-Patriot game. They'll start their primetime lineup with 60 minutes and everything. CSI Miami, check it out. The roller derby murder. It's a good one. And I had a lot of fun working on the show. See you next week at Hurley's from New York City. For the boys, I'm Ferrall. Peace. Check it out.